The night shift had always been quiet, but tonight the silence felt heavier, almost suffocating, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The corridors of Westbridge Medical Center were dim, echoing only the soft squeak of a mop and the weary exhale of a man who had already lost too much. Ethan Hale, a single father and janitor, paused under the flickering hallway light, gripping the mop handle as if it were the only thing keeping him standing. His final shift. His last night. After 12 years of cleaning floors, taking double shifts, and hiding his exhaustion behind tired smiles, he was being let go. Budget cuts, they said. Restructuring, they said. But deep inside, Ethan knew the truth. Life had simply run out of mercy for him. If you're watching this video and you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that remind us that good people deserve miracles, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Ethan's shoulders sagged as he pushed the cleaning cart forward. The smell of antiseptic and old coffee clung to his clothes. He thought about his daughter, Lily, who was sleeping at home with her stuffed rabbit curled against her cheek. 8 years old, bright-eyed, and battling a rare heart condition that had slowly drained his savings, his strength, and almost his hope. Every treatment cost more than Ethan made in months. And yet he tried so hard. He worked nights so he could be with Lily during the day, juggling meal prep, school drop-offs, doctor visits, and shifts that wore his bones thin. He had become a master at hiding heartbreak from her, always telling her things would be okay, even when he didn't believe it himself. But tonight felt like a breaking point. Without a job, how would he afford the next treatment cycle? How would he keep their tiny apartment? How would he look Lily in the eyes tomorrow and pretend the world wasn't collapsing? He leaned against the wall, closing his eyes, letting one silent tear slip down. He wiped it quickly, as if even tears were too expensive to waste. The intercom buzzed overhead, announcing that the hospital wing he finished cleaning was closing for the night. Ethan took one last look around, memorizing the hallways he had walked through thousands of times. He whispered a quiet goodbye to the building, to the life he had known, to the pieces of himself he had left behind over the years. His heart ached as he reached the staff exit and turned in his badge. Just like that, 12 years of loyalty ended with a polite nod from security and a sterile, good night. Outside, the wind was cold, sharp enough to cut through his thin jacket. Ethan pulled it close, stepping into the parking lot. His worn-out car sat alone under the streetlight, its paint chipped and tires nearly bald. The entire world seemed to hold its breath as he walked toward it, the sound of his footsteps echoing too loudly in the empty night. He was halfway there when the ground trembled beneath him. At first he thought he was imagining it. A distant thrum, like thunder rolling across the sky. But then it grew louder, rapid, powerful, unmistakable. Ethan turned just as a gust of wind swept across the lot, blowing dust and papers into a whirlwind. The noise intensified. Headlights swung through the darkness. Then, out of nowhere, 3 massive helicopters descended over the hospital roof, their blades roaring, their searchlights slicing through the night like white fire. Ethan froze. Nurses ran out from the building. Security guards yelled for people to get back. The entire parking lot erupted in chaos. The helicopters landed hard, one after another, shaking the asphalt under Ethan's shoes. When the blades slowed just enough for people to approach, a team of uniformed medical personnel leaped out, all shouting the same urgent message. "Where is Ethan Hale? We need him. Now!" Ethan stood still, unable to move, convinced they had the wrong person. But then 3 people rushed toward him, their faces frantic, almost breathless with desperation. They knew his name. They knew exactly who he was. One woman grabbed his arm, eyes wild with urgency. She explained that a remote mountain research facility had suffered a catastrophic equipment malfunction, something had triggered a chemical spill that threatened the lives of everyone inside. The main filtration and cleanup system had collapsed. And in their emergency database, one name kept appearing as the person who had fixed the system years ago when it was installed, Ethan Hale. He had forgotten that job. It had been before Lily was born, when he worked briefly as a junior technician helping install environmental safety equipment. He had been young then, hopeful, dreaming of a career in engineering before life took everything off course. He never imagined that the system he helped build could fail so disastrously, or that the world would come calling for him again. Ethan stammered, trying to explain he was just a janitor now, that he didn't remember enough, that he was nobody important. But they insisted. Lives depended on him. The entire facility was isolated, communication was failing, and the specialists they normally relied on were across the country. They needed someone who had physically worked on that system. Someone who knew its old wiring, its outdated architecture, its quirks. And that someone was him. In that moment, as the cold wind cut across the parking lot and the helicopter blades hummed in the background, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years: purpose. Maybe even something like hope. They offered him a contract right there, a temporary emergency position with hazard pay he couldn't believe. Enough to cover Lily's medical bills for an entire year if he succeeded. Enough to change their lives. Enough to give her a future. But it wasn't the money that made him say yes. It was the look in their eyes, the trust, the belief that he could do something that mattered. Something big. Something heroic. Something that proved he wasn't just the man life kicked around. He was someone who could still stand tall. Minutes later, Ethan was in the helicopter, buckled into a seat that vibrated with power as they lifted off into the night sky. The city lights shrank below him. His heart pounded with fear and determination. He closed his eyes and pictured Lily's smile, the way she hugged him every morning, the way she told him he was her hero even when he felt like he was failing in every way. The flight to the mountains was long and turbulent. Rain shrouded the windows, lightning cracked in the distance, and the rotors groaned against the wind. But through it all, Ethan listened as the emergency team explained the critical state of the facility. If the filtration system wasn't restored soon, chemical reactions would begin contaminating the air supply. Dozens of scientists, researchers, and support staff were trapped inside. Time was slipping away. When they finally landed, Ethan stepped out into a world of chaos, alarms blaring, steam hissing from ruptured pipes, lights flickering across towering metallic walls. The air smelled sharp and chemical. People rushed in every direction wearing masks and emergency gear. But when they saw Ethan, they parted, watching him with a strange mixture of fear and hope.